managing marketing budgets that we try to get to be able to do more with a challenging budget where we're like, okay, well, if we can do this a little bit less expensive or save a little money here, then we can actually add something else. And so I've been doing that. Yeah. So there's some standards out there that I think, are keeping up, that you can utilize. I just got my certification in GRI. I found it very useful in understanding, how to prioritize the impacts and report within certain sectors. I think the beauty of utilizing the data for change is that it is going to be required. If you're doing global business, if you're doing, in different countries, it's bubbling up. Getting ahead of it, it's just going to, again, you'll have more time and it'll cost less to get things set up instead of waiting. So there's definitely benefit to be reporting before the regulation comes. It also I mean, data will help you bring it into your overall strategy, no matter what department it is. And then once you have the data, then to me, it's very easy to make change. And that's the when I talk about profitability with sustainability, it's not it's not to do anything in a negative way. It's really utilizing what we have, and just overcoming that expectation that the sustainability department is a standalone department that is a cost center, because I don't believe that at all. I think it is one of the biggest opportunities, not only for people and the planet and the economy, but for the organization itself. And so taking use of the data that's already available, oftentimes already reported, to me is that piece of gold that's just not exploited well enough, exploited in the best sense of the term, just not utilized to find those nuggets of value and change and improving the product and the company's processes and so forth. In a lot of cases, that will save money. So we can take an example, a very simple one. No matter what company you have, you've probably got an electricity bill for the office, right? You might have those in different kinds of formats in very basic terms from the electric company or the building and whatever your bill comes in. And it might be put on a spreadsheet. So my first question is that gets reported, right? If you're reporting, somebody has that data because you're paying electricity bills. Has the facilities team been engaged in the company's sustainability strategy, just as a starting point? And who's the right person in the company to focus on decreasing consumption of electricity year on year? Very basic, right? But what and if there's somebody in the company that doesn't know how to do it, there's lots of external resources and online resources and free, and even through the electric companies in many cases have those. And what incentive does that person need to take charge of this on the team? It might be an internal award. It might, there might be some kind of incentive internally for this person to take the charge to make the difference. Maybe more visibility and so forth. But the idea is that something that everybody has is an electricity bill, putting someone that can make the change, giving them the resources to make that change and the incentive to do that, and then show what happens. I mean, by lowering your electricity consumption, not only is positive on your sustainability report, it actually saves money, right? It'll save the cost of electricity, right? So then what do you do with that cost savings? Again, if you have a strategy around this, then you can the next step can say, okay, well, this was another impact that we need to address, but it was going to cost some resources to get it done. But on year one, we lowered across all of our offices this much. And again, without putting that savings to the bottom line, keeping it in sustainability focus and putting that investment into something that to make an impact maybe you need to hire somebody, maybe you need a different type of system to record it and so forth, to do that. And so you're constantly showing this direct benefit. And then you talked about the air miles. I've seen this with companies using just, not terribly complicated data apps and just putting those decisions in the employees' ability to make the decision, right? Show them the information of, if I fly to this country for this meeting, or I take a train, or, all the alternatives, this is the impact that it's making, and also giving them benefits back. It might be more budget, because you've saved budget to do it, in addition to the carbon footprint. It might be some internal incentives as well. So, and then it all amplifies. Like I said, it doesn't just sit with facilities and the sustainability department. Once you've shown your electricity consumption has been addressed, and there's a plan for that, that does go into you. Of course, it would go into your reporting view, and then financiers are looking at that. Maybe you get better terms on your next, finance request out there, and that's likely a much larger savings for the company. So then where does that budget go, and where can that go to, helping people and the planet, and the sustainability of the company? So, there's a myriad of ways that you can manage this without it being a cost center. And that's why I come to uh, lower attrition, because employees want to work for a company that is showing initiatives like this. Maybe even allows them to be on a green team, to take some of the, for the employees that have passions in sustainability, to work in identifying areas. And it might be as simple as office recycling program, or how to make the printers more sustainable, or something like that they come across every day. We come back to data. I would definitely track it with data. I gave the example, we've talked about some of the examples on electricity and air mileage, but certainly there's other ways that you can track qualitative actions as well on, goals, and reporting that, because then it becomes very credible. And, you can show the path as far as the goal, and all the different areas that are being addressed, that, and then what's not addressed yet, but will be. But by measuring the data, it really just provides that mechanism of proof, credibility, an area to improve. What's left, like, we got to this point, what do we need to do next? And then when you bring it into the marketing team, they have, a consistent message that they can speak to. They can speak to everything from cost savings or product development, all of the different areas that the company then is taking into the projects, the funding net that, becomes available for larger sustainability projects. And then tackling big things like product packaging is a big one, right? That doesn't happen immediately. It could, maybe, but like it's complex, right? And it might be a multi-year, step-by-step strategy.
Absolutely. I like you said it a few times, and it's part of what I think is the mission of AKFI as well, and of these webinars, is to get, especially the finance group in every company, to look at profitability as a cost and the profit center. I think we are still lacking on the accounting tools to measure profitability when things are avoided, right? We call it sometimes cost avoidance, right? So you cannot say, I avoided to spend $1 million. One of our proposals is to come up with multiple business cases and show the difference between business case with sustainability and without, and force actually the company, as you mentioned, from grassroots all the way up to the CEO, to visit the sustainability question every time they come up with a new project, with a new service, and to see the cost differential, which has to be, as you mentioned, has to be accounted separately in order to become visible. Because otherwise, it's if I avoid to spend electricity, if I turn all the lights off, the accounting system will not say that I save money. It will say I spend less. It's
Yeah.
still on the cost part. It's not on the profit part.
And I think the same goes for customers that you'll lose because you don't meet their supply chain requirements, right? It's not accounted for, but it's very real. And savvy CEOs will be looking at that, not to lose business, where they're losing business and how to adjust to that, but it's not necessarily accounted for, right? It's very
Exactly.
visible.
No, I'm working with a professor of accounting in the UK, and we are trying to come up with a model. He's writing a book, and he asked for some input from us, uh, hopefully useful. And that's the part I highlighted to him. You should have a cost avoidance case if you want to show the sustainability is beneficial. It's not enough to say don't spend money. Cost cutting is the art of any CFO, right? They go through the balance sheet and say, okay, can I get rid of this? How about this? How about this? So that's, but as you said, also the data, and maybe I'll use the term commoditizing the data, making it to be shared across the whole company, so people can look at the data and say, oh, that has impact. The fact that I booked a ticket around the world to go from California to New York, it has an impact. And this impact, is not only financial, it impacts the future of my children, the future of my grandchildren, and so on. So making visible,
Well,
it's
and
the
I think
first
some
call to
companies
action.
just give like a financial incentive for people to save some of those some of those money, right? It might be, in vouchers
Oh,
or
sure, sure,
something like that, but to
exactly.
be a part of, that. My idea and my discussion of like, if you save this, then you can invest in that. It does come from managing marketing budgets that we try to get to be able to do more with a challenging budget where we're like, okay, well, if we can do this a little bit less expensive or save a little money here, then we can actually add something else. And so I've been doing that for years with companies of all different sizes.
Oh, excellent, excellent. And again, making it visible and engage the people. I hear the engagement being part of having sustainability effective in companies, right? Make it
Yeah.
everybody's
So
business, everybody's
And
job.
everybody's got different interests. Not everybody's going to be interested in, the emissions changes of the company, right? They just have different interests. But finding the people, if you're building a green team, for instance, that there are passion and they want to do more on that. For others, find the incentives. It may be financial. It may be, other things
Oh,
that the
sure,
company offers to
sure.
get to the goals. But I think,
And
understanding how what everybody brings as far as their interest and wants and addressing those when you go to change management, is really important. It's something that we do in
and
marketing a lot. What does your audience care about? What challenges are they facing? How can you help that? And it works really well in change management as well.
absolutely, and I think there is all this topic. You started the conversation about the transition. I would call it transformation, right? Because there is digital transformation, there is the sustainability transformation, and we don't see sustainability as being tightly intertwined with digital transformation. There are two transformation processes that have to happen in parallel. You bring digitalization to the company in order to get better data, better management tools, digital twins, whatever new applications and services and toys we are coming up with. But all these have to have a purpose, and the purpose is reflected in sustainability, saving, saving inputs, right? Electricity is the great example you gave, but minerals, water, labor is an input, right? So making people work more effectively, it's part of this picture. Um, so I think we covered pretty much how to integrate data and bring the opportunities to sustainability. As you probably know, I'm also spending some time in education as an instructor and a facilitator in Cornell, and I have many students in sustainability, and not many times they come to me, they take the class and they say, well, here is my situation. I need help. I work in marketing. How can I make an impact? I work in HR. How can I make an impact? And one discussion was not long ago about these circles of employees. Employees are pushing the HR function to create the circles. It's not the HR coming and saying, let's have a green circle or a sustainability circle. So it was very interesting that the push is coming from the particularly the Gen Zers, but also from people interested. As you said, people have different interests, but the purpose is the same. And
Yeah,
maybe
and I think that
similarly,
I like the younger generation, the folks that I'm connected with, they use the digital transformation, not a transformation for them. It's the way they grew up. So they use technology and access to data much more naturally. I think older generations, start with what's my hunch, and then we'll look at the data.
yeah,
And so, I mean, I love technology as my best employee, right? It's my best assistant, right?
yeah,
But yeah, so I think that will like the topics that you're on are spot on, and I think that they again that it's just going to be just a part of the way that we do business. There won't be a separation of it. It will just be an expected, I hope, using credible data in this and the access that technology is providing to us to sort through massive amount of data and analytics, to move data, to identify it in different ways that we hadn't thought of, and use tools like AI. I think is I find it very fun, but it's a way to move forward credibly, certainly faster, and more effectively than we ever have before. And it's really exciting. So when back to the beginning, when we talked about sustainability being in a flux, I mean, if you look at things like the SDGs and the work at COP, I mean, there are some deadlines ahead of us that are being worked at. But I also think that we have more tools to take it forward faster than we ever have before, which is
absolutely,
an inspiring way to be, place to be.
absolutely, absolutely. It's the fourth and the fifth industrial evolution or revolution. It depends how you want to count it, but we are at the point where we have powerful tools. We talked a little bit about the ethics and the ethical AI, but we have tools. I hope as a human that will use them the right way. That's for maybe the next conversation, and I'd like to invite you back to that. But before we close, I wanted to actually bring you on the topic of education. You have a lot of experience, and maybe share with the people we have, for instance, 18 interns in AKFI, most of them either in university or just out of university. What advice would you provide to them? What story you want to bring forward to them?
Yeah, I think I would definitely go with looking at starting with your own role. What they come from, whether they're an engineering student or a marketing student, or in other areas. Some areas will be more obvious to be sustainable if you're in supply chain or product design. But going back to that quote, every job is a climate job. Think about this, about what it means. Like, look at your current role, what's being done, where are the gaps, how can that work be impactful to the people and the planet? And then also, what do you, with outside of your working day, what do you come across every day that could be an opportunity to align to the SDGs to create positive impact? So it's not always reducing negative impact, but it's also creating positive impact. We've really been focused because there's legacy out there of negative impact that need to be addressed, but it can be very depressing for somebody coming out and saying, okay, like my first thing out of university is to fix things. I think there's also an opportunity to look at creating the positive impact. And if the companies that you join have advocacy groups or sustainability teams that you can offer your service, it may be on a volunteer basis, but instead of thinking of it as like providing free labor, think of it as getting a free education. And I've certainly had that opportunity, and thank so many people in my background where I said, hey, that looks really interesting to me. You can do it not inside your organization too. You can do it with organizations that you come across, say, that looks really interesting to me. Can you tell me more about it? How can I help? I may know nothing about your industry, but maybe there's something that I'm interested in learning, or that I already have in my experience or my toolkit that I can help you. And that could be in your own neighborhood or within your school. And one of the things that I can say is that taking that step forward is, you'll get so much back. The passion is contagious. So, I didn't say I was going to use personal examples, but there's a really good one. When my son was 5 years old, he saw a TV show on polar bears, and he also kind of wanted his own cash. Like, he didn't feel like his parents were giving enough candy money. And so he started a recycling business, because in the building we lived in, you could put your garbage through a chute, but you had to carry your recycling down. And a
Okay.
lot of people didn't do it. It wasn't very convenient. There was no visible,
Yeah.
impact that was making. So he offered for a very nominal fee to pick up their recycling a couple of times a month, and he would take it down. And he not only made the money, but he inspired others to take action. It ended up becoming kind of a trend that flourished as a very simple way to, it made the people who weren't throwing away their recycling, it made them feel good. They were, helping out this kid, they were helping out the planet. He got other kids involved that, could have their own little business that was safe and, within the neighborhood. And, that can be anything. So, like I said, just keep your eyes out. What turns you on? Don't try to force it because it'll feel like work, but what do you want to learn
Absolutely.
more about and offer your services? And again, don't think of it as providing free labor as just a goodwill thing. Really consider like the education that you're going to get out of this. Maybe it's visibility within the company. Um, and without a doubt, I really feel like the passion that you put out there to make a change, no matter how small it is, will be contagious, and you'll really feel the momentum and the positive impact as you connect with others.
Leslie, and the passion exists. I can tell you from my, AK, from our AKFI interns that, very thankful they help us with white papers, with research. Also, I see it from students in sustainability. And by the way, to reassure you, the generational divide is not there. It's not only Gen Zers, it's not only baby boomers. They cross all the generations, and they are looking at that. I'd like very much to invite you back. I want to thank you that you took out the time to visit with us today. And I want to invite our audience to come every week for a new episode of AKFI Actionable ESG Talks with great guests like Leslie Beckman tonight. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.